up on Double Tap TV.
We talk all about apps, what we use, and why.
The latest tech.
I'm Alexa. I can answer your questions.
Interviews.
There will be several dozen shows trickling in over the months.
Accessibility.
We're actually running a pilot scheme with the CNIB at the moment.
This is Double Tap TV.
Welcome to Double Tap TV. I am Mark Aflalo, as always, joined by Stephen Scott. Thank you guys for being here. Our email address is feedback@AMI.ca if you want to send us an email. On Twitter, perhaps, no problem. It is at DoubleTapCanada. And if you use the hashtag AskDoubleTapStephen, we will find that tweet a lot quicker and be able to use it on an upcoming show because we love to stay in touch and get involved. Stephen, how you feeling this week? We've got a great show lined up.
We certainly do. And it does start with a question, actually. And it's a question we probably all ask each other at some point. So I'm going to ask you first, Mark. What's your favorite app?
What's my favorite app? Wow. You know, it's
not an easy one, is it?
It's a hard question because if you think back, like 10 years, this would never have been a question, right? What's an app? Like, what would we use an app for? Is it an app, an application on your computer? Reader 3. I don't know if you've ever heard of Reader 3, but no. Reader is a string of apps that is basically just an RSS news reader. You enter in your different feeds. I happen to use Google's Feedly service, and I sign up for different subscriptions across the web. And it amalgamates all the news, all the articles into one place for me, and it keeps track of what I've read, what I haven't read. It lets me share it with people. I can automatically, send things to not only friends, but to different social media networks, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. It's become one of my most go-to apps because I'm constantly looking for different story ideas. I'm constantly looking to keep up with all the tech trends. And if I didn't have some kind of centralized way to do that, I don't know how I'd survive because I wouldn't be able to keep track of anything that's going on in the world. You?
I'll be honest with you, Mark. I'm actually horrified by your suggestion because it's a good one. I was kind of expecting you to come up with something terrible. I wanted to slag you off because it's like, oh yeah, here he is, this sighted guy. He's going to talk about something really visual. Actually, you've hit upon something really important because it is about that aggregation of content that really is important. There's so much out there, isn't there? So much on Twitter, so much on social, so much on Google News and all the rest. All these sources. Trying to find and navigate all of that is really difficult. Now, for a blind person, you absolutely want to have some kind of aggregator. So I'm going to check this out, and if it's accessible, then plus points to you. But, there is one out there you can get that is fully accessible, I can tell you, called Lire, L-I-R-E. It is a paid-for app. It costs like $10 or something. It's not a huge amount of money, but it does work really, really well. Again, like you're saying, it's very similar by the sounds of it. You add your feeds to it, it aggregates all of the content together, but it has got a huge amount of accessibility function in it. The developer of that app has put a lot of time and effort making sure that blind people can use it as well as anyone else. So it's a really good app. It's not built for blind people, but it has got a lot of accessibility in it. So yeah, really good choice. I like that. I'm horrified.
Now think back to what I was saying at the beginning here. Think back 10 years ago. If this was 10 years ago, we'd be talking about our favorite, web app on our BlackBerry devices, Oh, look, it has color, maybe, if there's color, if there's anything to even see there. But, everything was text-based. We didn't really see apps come to light until a couple of years after the iPhone was first announced, and that was back in, 2007. So it's been a long time coming, and we're talking about, billions of apps sold. This has become not only a great tool for people on an everyday basis, but this has become an entire ecosystem. This is a business that overnight, when Steve Jobs announced that iPhone, we did not realize the impact that would have down the road. And we are still talking about that today, which is why we're spending this episode asking people and asking you guys, what's your favorite app? And there's so many ways that this could go, right? I joke about Waze, but Waze is another one of my favorite apps. And you talk about people who aren't visually impaired, this is a great driving app. You and I used this when I was in Scotland, that we were trying to navigate the streets and figure out where we're going, but it has become one of my favorite go-to apps because it crowdsources traffic no matter where you are, and thanks to obviously the involvement of the community, it gives great real-time updates that are almost better than your radio traffic reports that are out there. So, I think when it comes to apps, there are so many. And this can go in so many different directions, right?
Yeah, well, I have to say, I too loved that app because it saved you and I getting lost and probably dead in a ditch somewhere. You know, it's incredible, the apps that are out there now. And of course, you might think that this episode is going to be all about apps that are visually impaired friendly or blind specific apps. Not the case, Mark. We've got some really interesting suggestions coming up from some of our friends at AMI who are going to tell us about some of their apps. And I don't think it's as obvious as you might think. I don't think you could predict this one.
Okay, well, you know, I'm looking forward to it. I think you're looking forward to it too. Should I ask you what your favorite is now, or should we save that as like the kind of cherry on top at the end of the show?
I'm still struggling with this one. By the end of the episode, I will come up with an answer or two.
So you know what, Stephen, get your mind going. We're going to ask the audience to get involved here. The email address is feedback@ami.ca. On Twitter, it is @DoubleTapCanada with that hashtag. Ask Double Tap. We want to know what your favorite app is. But more than that, tell us why, obviously. Tell us why you can't live without this app or apps that you're talking about. But as Stephen alluded to, we're going to take a break and come back and find out from some of our friends over at AMI what their favorite apps are. So stick around.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit AMI.ca/DoubleTap. This is Double Tap TV.
Welcome back to Double Tap TV. Mark Aflalo and Stephen Scott with you. We've got some special guests lined up, so if you want to get involved, it's feedback@ami.ca. Check out the website. It is doubletap.online, and on Twitter, we are @DoubleTapCanada. Use that hashtag, which is AskDoubleTap. We might feature your tweet towards the end of this show. So, Stephen, you reached out to some of our friends over at AMI, and they have some opinions, I think, that I'm waiting to find out because I have no idea what they're going to come across with. What do you think? You think you're going to be surprised? Or do you think it's going to be obvious ones?
I think, well, I kind of hope we'll be surprised. I mean, I obviously thought we'd be talking about lots and lots of visually impaired specific apps. But is that going to be the case?
Why don't we start with the host live from Studio 5, Mr. Dave Brown.
Hey guys, Dave Brown here. I'm a host with AMI and AMI Audio. Absolutely happy to be here to offer you this little tidbit. And it's not super exciting. It's the one app that I feel you must have. And my pick is not super interesting or crazy cutting edge or anything along those lines, but it's something that I use pretty much every day. And that's something basic. It's Google Maps. Anytime I'm in a city where I'm not familiar with where I'm going, I have the Google Maps queued up all the time. Oftentimes I'll pre-fill a bunch of addresses in there just so it's a bit easier to pull out of the search bar. But for me, it's all about being able to orient myself easily and find what I'm looking for. Sometimes it's really important stuff like point A to point B to point C to point Z, just the pure basic navigation. But sometimes it's a lot of that value added and color and flavor as well. When you literally have your little blue pin dropped into the map and you type in restaurants or bars or public transit or subway, or whatever it is that you're looking for, all of a sudden this whole map populates with all these different options. And then it's so easy to click on one of those pins and say, how do I get there by bus? How much is it going to cost me by Uber? Is it taxi? Is it walkable? And then you can even kind of look at the walk if it's going to be sidewalks or it's going to be roads or it's going to be sketchy. There's just something about Google Maps that I absolutely adore when I'm on the road, whether that be for work or for fun. But it's even when I'm at home and doing stuff in my day-to-day life with even just the slightest variances to where I'm headed or where I'm going. The Google Maps really does allow me to get there with ease and usually in the most efficient way if I don't know my own particular ways through back alleys or backwoods. But yeah, that's the app that I absolutely adore and that I suggest that anybody keeps on hand. Google Maps. It's not specialized. It's not fancy. It's kind of bland, but it really does the job.
Well, that's an interesting one, Dave. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, yeah, Google Maps. Now, interestingly, Mark, you talked earlier about navigation. There is Dave talking about the value of something like Google Maps to him.
Yeah, that makes sense because you know what? Waze is not one of those apps that I would have used, especially while walking, but Google Maps and even Apple Maps, quite honestly, which has kind of come into its own, have become pretty valuable to me when I'm navigating cities that I've never been to before. I was in San Francisco a couple months ago, and if it wasn't for Google Maps, I would not have found anything. And thanks to, you know, lots of different features, especially the walking directions and the fact that it now knows exactly what direction you're facing, it got me exactly to where I wanted to go within a couple steps, of course.
You know, as Dave says, so easy just to, you know, get that information, find the restaurant or the bank, or, you know, get local information, or, you know, whether it's quicker to walk or jump an Uber or whatever. That's really, really important, that it's easy to use and easily accessible information.
We have to remember that Google has been doing this for such a long time, and this is the same answer I give to people who ask which search engine is the best. They've been doing it for so long, they have so much information there, so it makes sense that obviously their data is going to be a lot better. Who have we got lined up next?
Well, next up we've got Ramia Amuthan from Kelly & Co., one half of the duo, of course, with Kelly MacDonald on AMI, and we're going to hear about not just one, Mark, but 2 apps.
The first one I want to mention is Google Assistant, not Google Maps, not the regular Google app that you can download onto your phone, but Google Assistant, as most of you may know if you know me, I used to be an Android user, switched over to Apple, called it temporary, and then stuck around with Apple, but I just couldn't get over how bad Siri was in my life, and I just couldn't get her to replace what Google gave me. So I downloaded the Google Assistant app, put in a Siri shortcut so I can get it ASAP, and it has been marvelous. I mean, I can tell Google Assistant to, with one click or one "Hey Google," just call whoever, and it doesn't have to be someone from my contacts. It can be anywhere, anybody, and it is super easy. Tell it to find me directions, tell it to find me addresses, hours, whatever it is, it's done in a pinch. And then if you're kind of talking around done in a pinch and you're out and about and you have no idea where you are, or you want to just know what's around me, then there's Microsoft Soundscape, my second favorite app. I can pull it up at any time, have it running in the background, or however intensely you want to be using it, and just look around me. What's going on? Is there a coffee shop? Is it pouring rain outside and I need to know what I can just hop into really quickly? Hey, is there an app, a bank around me that I can go visit just real quickly? All that is done through the Microsoft Soundscape app. So my 2 recommendations, Microsoft Soundscape and Google Assistant, whether or not you're on an Apple or Android phone.
Soundscape. Now, remind me, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but Soundscape is the app that works with those Bose headsets that we saw at Microsoft later in the last year when we were over there in Mississauga, right?
Absolutely. And since that trip, we learned a lot more about the integration between Microsoft Soundscape and the Bose AR frames. And you can actually, if you have these Bose AR frames, you're able now to go into the Soundscape app and actually tailor your experience using the Bose AR frames. So when you turn to the left, the whole world moves with you, as it does in real life. You know, if you turn to your left, if there's a car coming from your left and you turn towards it, of course that car's now in front of you as far as your head's concerned. That's how Bose AR frames works. So you know, you're able to then be aware of your surroundings much more clearly with this. So yeah, Soundscape is a wonderful one. I will be honest though, Google Assistant was really surprising that
I didn't expect that.
Well, you know, especially because, and of course this is interesting, she comes from Android, boo, to iPhone, hurrah. And you know, she's obviously chosen the right side. I'm so pleased about that, Ramia, well done. But the thing is that you've chosen a good phone, but you're using the technology that you were used to, and as she says, it's much better than Siri, which I've got to say I can't disagree with.
You know, speaking of Android, there's our favorite Android lover, Sean Priest, who is standing by, and he's got his favorite app, which, let me guess, is probably another Google Android one, right? But let's find out. Let's find out.
Hello, I'm Sean Priest, one of the co-hosts from Double Tap Canada on AMI Audio. And it's difficult, you know, when you are asked to recommend an app, because you immediately go to apps like Seeing AI or Be My Eyes, all those fantastic apps that are essential to have on your device. But I thought I'd be a little bit different. I'm going to go mainstream. So the app that I'm going to recommend is WhatsApp. I know, crazy, but I love it. And I use it at least 50 times a day. So WhatsApp is a communication app. You can message people, call people, video call people, send files, photos, anything really. But the amazing thing about it is that it doesn't matter what platform the other person is on, because WhatsApp is so widely used that it's available on Android, it's available on iPhone, and the chances are that most people are going to have WhatsApp. And aside from that, it's totally accessible. Hooray! So it doesn't matter if someone's using TalkBack on Android or VoiceOver on iOS, you can use WhatsApp nice and easily. It's great. And the other thing that I think is really good about it, and probably my most favourite aspect, it's free! I mean, who can beat that? So there you go. That's my pick. Yes, all the others are absolutely fantastic, and of course you should have. But for communication, I don't think you can beat WhatsApp. So there you go. Give me a call, unless your name is Stephen Scott, in which case, leave me alone.
I guess that's a sign, Stephen, that he wants to talk to me and not you, right?
I'm guessing that's the case. Yeah, he knows who the boss is around here, and it clearly isn't me.
Listen, WhatsApp is one of those apps that I've used as my go-to as well, because when you're trying to talk with people cross-platform who don't use iMessage or you know, back in the days where we're still sending really text messages, you wanted some kind of global platform, and WhatsApp seems to be the closest thing to that, right?
And it's super accessible as well. And you're right, you know, it's great to talk about an app. And actually, this is what I'm loving about this show this week, because we're talking not about apps that are specific to blind people. We're talking about any apps that anybody can use. And WhatsApp's a brilliant one, especially if you happen to have a friend who is sadly on Android.
So let's take a break and let's come back. We're going to get some listener feedback, some viewer feedback, because there's somebody who wants to know what your favorite app is. So stick around. It is Double Tap TV. You are Stephen Scott. I am Mark Aflalo. Again, feedback at AMI.ca, and on Twitter it is at Double Tap Canada.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit AMI.ca/doubletap. This is Double Tap TV.
We are back in Double Tap TV. Mark Aflalo and Stephen Scott with you. The email address feedback at AMI.ca. On Twitter, we are at Double Tap Canada with the hashtag AskDoubleTap. And don't forget the website, doubletap.online. Very cool stuff there. So we got an email from Fiona, who wrote this from Mississauga. That's kind of where we were at the Microsoft little visit we had there last year. Stephen, Fiona wants to know what your favorite app is. I guess that's a fitting discussion. A great way to end the show this week, right?
Yeah, but the problem is I have to choose one. There are so
You could choose
many.
two. I give you the right to choose more than one.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm honoured. Let me then choose two. Because actually there's two that kind of fight with each other, and they are specialist apps. And I don't apologise for that. Although now I've thought of a third one. All right, okay, all right. I'll keep it to two. So the first one is Be My Eyes.
Oh, of course.
Be My Eyes, of course, I had to mention this because it is an app I talk about a lot in the radio show. I love this app. The guys who developed it really just cottoned on to something. Essentially, connecting with people who are volunteers around the world who allow you to use or borrow their eyes for a while. You know, I'll tell you why this is so important to me. A couple of years back, and actually every year since that, I had real problems buying cards. You know, cards for my wife, and I bought her a birthday card. Yeah. I bought her a card for her birthday, and it turned out to say Happy Anniversary on it. Now, it could have said a lot worse, in fairness. You know, I think sorry for your news, or, you know, something horrendous would have been not
My
so good.
condolences, or...
Yes, exactly. And some would argue it's the same thing. But no, it's obviously a very personal thing, giving someone a greeting card, especially around about the festive season or for someone's birthday. And what I was able to do with Be My Eyes was connect with someone who stayed with me as they had gone through, as I opened through the card. They were able to read the words in the card. And it was a really emotional thing, just being able to get that card that I wanted to give my wife and make sure it was the right one. So that meant a lot. Now, actually, a similar story exists with my second app, which is Seeing AI. Now, Seeing AI is a different app because it does have the ability to read things for you. You can hold text in front of it and it will read it. Brilliant, for example, when you get that horrible error message on your computer, or if it's a Windows computer, updating. Oh, it'll only take 15 hours. And when it says that on the screen, you think, oh, what is going on there? Why can't I get past this? You just hold the phone up to the screen with Seeing AI, and it will actually read that to you out loud. So it's brilliant for that. When the computer won't speak, Seeing AI will. But there's a tool in there, one of the many channels as they call it, for handwriting. Now, a good few years back, I had a bit of a health scare, and I had a situation where I got a card from my office, and I couldn't read the card because it was all handwriting.
How do you thank somebody for it if you don't know who it's from, right?
Exactly, that was the point. I don't know who it's from, and there was a load of names on there, and I wasn't sure which team it had come from. I was kind of thinking, this is a shame because I haven't responded to this, and I felt bad about it. And it was about that time that Microsoft, to develop Seeing AI, had introduced this handwriting function. And I was able to then turn on the handwriting channel, hold the phone over the card, and it actually read out, not all, but the majority of the handwritten text. And I've got to say, that was a really poignant moment for me, because I could have easily given this card to someone in the family to read out to me. But that card was for me. It wasn't for anyone else. So being able to just get the device to read that card, even though it's a artificial intelligence, it was a really poignant moment, and it meant a lot. So, those two apps for me have been real life changers in so many different ways, because they both enable independence. Sullivan Plus is another one I'm learning about, which is kind of similar as well.
You're way over your two apps now.
I know, I've gone crazy now. I know. But there's so many good ones out there.
Kind of big picture question. Can you imagine what your life would be today if it wasn't for the existence of these apps?
I think there's a lot of things I just wouldn't be able to do. I wouldn't be able to bank online. How would I access money? And, I think about friends of mine who've grown up, and I've spoken to friends who are much older and who grew up in a world where they didn't have all of this and they're blind. And they said we just didn't have access. Everything we had to be, you had to have a specialist machine that cost thousands of dollars installed in your home. And that was your reading machine. Now, of course, you don't have any of that. You can do it all with a phone, and you can do it yourself, which is the most important thing. So, technology has come on leaps and bounds, and it's changed all of our lives for the better, for sure.
Feedback at AMI.ca is the email address. On Twitter, it's @DoubleTapCanada. Use the hashtag #AskDoubleTap. Let us know what your favorite apps are, and we'll hopefully feature those on an upcoming show. Stephen, thank you for being here, as always. Thank you guys for being here and watching the show. Couldn't do it without you. On behalf of Stephen Scott, I am Mark Aflalo. We will see you again next week.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit AMI.ca/DoubleTap.
Hosted by Mark Aflalo and Stephen Scott. Editing Mark Aflalo and Will Attar. Integrated Described Video Specialist Ron Rickford. Coordinating Producer Jennifer Johnson. Director Production Karen Nye. Director Programming Brian Perdue. VP Programming and Production John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2020 Accessible Media Inc.